بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم وبه نستعين وهو خير ناصر ومعين وصلى الله على سيدنا محمد وآله الطاهرين ولعنة الدائمة على أعدائهم أجمعين من الآن إلى قيام يوم الدين. Greetings and felicitations. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh upon all of my viewers on this auspicious night, the night of the birth of Amirul Mu'mineen Ali ibn Abi Talib alayhi salam. Our salutations to him, our salutations to the Imams from him, our salutations to his parents, our salutations to the Prophet, his cousin. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala bless us all with special blessing on this auspicious night. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala increase in our iman, in our taqwa, because He is the Imam of Muttaqeen. He is the Iman of all Iman. Amirul Mu'mineen Ali ibn Abi Talib alayhi salam, on a Friday morning in the month of Rajab, born in the best place where not a single human being have been given with such opportunity up until now, and it will never be the case so. This itself is a very unique symbolic reality that one needs to consider, that a child being born inside the very house of God, there is something that God really wants to relay. There is something that God really is indicating to us, that this child would be a very unique and special child coming from the house of God. Indeed, as the Prophet he himself have said, "O Ali, no one could really recognize you. It's only God and myself could really recognize you or understand you." No doubt, no doubt. We have seen in the very words of the Prophet that, "O Ali, if the Ummah would have known your qualities, if the Ummah would have seen your reality, the Ummah would have become like the Ummah of Christ." Just like how they believe that Christ is the Son of God, if the Ummah or if my Ummah would have known you, they would have done the same. So therefore, it is really fascinating to really examine or to look into the life of such personality. That's what we would be going to do a bit tonight, and perhaps if Allah gives us an opportunity, we would go through some of his life in our spiritual perspectives on every Wednesday night. Let's just begin with the birth of Imam Ali alayhi salam. It's been mentioned that a lady was seen after doing the tawaf of Kaaba, raising the hands and mentioning that, "O Lord of the Kaaba, I give you, or I intercede the builder of the Kaaba, who is Ibrahim, and I also intercede the Mawlud which is in my belly, that for his sake, for their sake, make this labor easy on me." As soon as after this dua, the Kaaba wall cracks open and she enters the Kaaba, she was welcomed by God inside the house of God. In the margin, I would clearly mention a comparison with the birth of Ruhullah, where Hazrat Maryam was asked to move out and go into a deserted place and sit under a date palm, where eventually she got miraculously food from there, where she had to do something in order to really achieve those fruits miraculously. On the other hand, it's been reported Fatima bint Asad, the mother of Amirul Mu'mineen, mentions that when God invited me inside the house, there were heavenly fruits already prepared for her, and as she was there inside the Kaaba for 3 days. The people in Mecca, as you all know, the news spreads like wildfire. The people in Mecca, they all gathered around the Kaaba in order to break open the door, in order to go inside, in order to use their keys to open the lock of the door of Kaaba. But nothing worked, nothing happened, and they all said that this is something special, that this itself is a miracle, that what is going on. After 3 days, it's been reported that when the child was born, when Amirul Mu'mineen was born, the child wasn't opening his eyes. And then all of a sudden, when they gathered around the Kaaba, waiting desperately to really see what has happened to the pregnant lady, is she still alive? Is she dead? What happened to the wife of Abu Talib? Finally, the ranks of those people gather, cuts open by a unique personality, Rahmatul lil Alameen, Muhammad Mustafa sallallahu alaihi wasallam. And here the Prophet enters, takes the baby, who is the newborn Amirul Mu'mineen Ali ibn Abi Talib, and the child opens the eyes at that hour or at that minute and looks at the face of the Prophet. And then finally the voice echoes that name this child Ali, because God is Aliul A'la. So his name is named from God. He is born in the very house of God itself, which itself, historically speaking, recorded by all of the historians, that never such an incident have ever taken place, that a child be born inside the very house of God. Now, if we reflect upon the family of Hazrat Ali alayhi salam, Amirul Mu'mineen, Ali ibn Abi Talib alayhi salam, we find that his mother and also his father, both their lineage trace back to Hazrat Bani Hashim. You know, they are known as from the family of Bani Hashim. The father, who is Abdul Muttalib, and who is the Jad of, or who is the grandfather of the Prophet as well. And then you have, and his son is Abu Talib, and his son is Amirul Mu'mineen. In regards to the mother is the daughter of Asad, who is the son of Hashim. So therefore, Abu Talib married his uncle's daughter. They were cousins. So from both sides, Amirul Mu'mineen belongs to the family of Bani Hashim. And as we all know, what a great family this was considered amongst the Arabian Peninsula in terms of their eloquency, in terms of their knowledge, in terms of their spirituality, in terms of their trustworthiness, very unique and special, known in Arabia. In terms of their religiosity, they were very unique and special. So from both, Ali ibn Abi Talib alayhi salam belongs to the family of Bani Hashim. As the Prophet, he himself have mentioned that me and Ali, before the creation of Adam, were one nur. And this nur and then this light transferred from line after line, transferred from one generation after generation, from Adam alayhi salam till it reaches to the sulb of Abdul Muttalib, and there it divides into two. Half of it goes to Hazrat Abdullah, and the other half goes to Abu Talib. And eventually, when you see that when these two nur from the beginning and once again back together again in this world, in this dunya as well, where the Prophet is the Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, and his wasi and his successor is Ali ibn Abi Talib alayhi salam. Now, if you look at the personality of his father, which is Hazrat Abu Talib, we find that his protection of the Prophet for 45 years, right from the birth, when he becomes an orphan, in a great and more detail, where he himself took him as his son. And there is a scholar, Ibn Abil Hadid, who writes, who is a commentator on the Nahjul Balagha as well. He mentions that if it wasn't for Hazrat Abu Talib, if it wasn't for Abu Talib, then Islam wouldn't have been survived. It is the protection of Hazrat Abu Talib by which that Islam's roots were penetrated on this earth. Then when we look at the narrations from the Masumeen alayhi salam, we are astonished by the narration of Hazrat Imam Muhammad Baqir, who is known as Baqir Ulum, who is named after the Prophet himself, Muhammad, whose future coming was already mentioned by the Prophet to his companion Jabir. He mentions that if be the case, لو وضع الإيمان أبي طالب في كفة الميزان, if be so, Iman of Abi Talib is placed in a balance, on one side of the balance, the Iman of the Khalaiq, of the creation, on the other side of the balance, the Iman of Abu Talib alayhi salam will be far more greater, will be more heavier than the Iman of the Khalaiq. No wonder a son of such personality becomes the owner of the tradition of the Prophet, that Zarba to Aliin, that one Zarba of Amirul Mu'mineen, of Ali ibn Abi Talib on the day of Khandaq, is better than the ibadat of Saqalain, which means both the realms of creation. So in regards to the Iman of Hazrat Abu Talib alayhi salam, who is the father of Amirul Mu'mineen, this is what has been mentioned. Now in regards to the mother of Hazrat Abu Talib, in regards to the mother of Amirul Mu'mineen Ali ibn Abi Talib, that was in regards to the father of Amirul Mu'mineen Ali ibn Abi Talib. Now in regards to the mother, once again, as we said, she belongs from the Bani Hashim tribe, Bani Hashim family, and she was called by the Prophet as mother. Prophet addressed Fatima bint Asad as mother. This itself is a great honor, that Rahmatul lil Alameen is addressing Fatima bint Asad as mother. And she was considered to be one of the foremost, one of those first individuals who have accepted, manifested Islam. And it's been mentioned that when the report of her demise arrives to the Prophet, tears flows into the eyes of the Prophet, and Prophet gave his own turban to Amirul Mu'mineen, to Hazrat Ali, and said that shroud her in this turban. And Prophet, he himself attended the funeral, participated in the funeral, read the funeral prayers on her, and lied down in the grave before she was buried. And then they asked, "O Prophet, you have never done this to anyone. We have never seen you in this state the way you have participated in this funeral, with utmost humility, with utmost respect, with utmost kindness, and the things that you have done was never seen before." Then the Prophet replied that إِنَّهُ لَمْ يَكُنْ بَعْدَ أَبِي طَالِبٍ أَبَرَ. There wasn't anyone after Abi Talib good to me like the way she was. She was that bir, as they say, bir abarra. That's what the Prophet is pointing out to, that no one was good to me the way she was after Hazrat Abu Talib alayhi salam. Then if you look at Amirul Mu'mineen Ali ibn Abi Talib, in the early reports where Abdullah ibn Masud reports, who was the companion of the Prophet, that a group of people came to Mecca and were inquiring about the new Prophet. As they approach, they came to Hazrat Abbas, who was also the uncle of the Prophet, and they asked him. And all of a sudden, as they were together, they saw that someone coming from the mountain of Safa, approaching towards the Kaaba, who was wearing white clothes, a very handsome and good looking person. And then on his right side there was a young lad, and behind them there was a lady, and they all moved, all these three individuals, towards Hajr Aswad. And as they go to the Hajr Aswad, they kissed it and they performed the tawaf of the Kaaba, and after which they stood in prayers. And while they were worshipping, while they were praying, they raised their hands in qunut. And as they raised their hand in qunut, which means in this position, and their qunut was longer, it was a longer qunut. And then they said that Abdullah ibn Masud reports that I haven't recognized them. Then Hazrat Abbas said that these are the ones he's the one who is the Prophet, and then that is his cousin, son of his brother, and that is his wife. So they manifested their Islam, and these were the three ones who were practicing Islam at that time in Mecca. Although we are fully aware in terms of our faith, in terms of our belief, that the Prophets and Amirul Mu'mineen were one nur, as we earlier mentioned in the hadith, from the Prophet himself. And we also aware that it is the question of declaration of his prophethood. It is the question of declaration, declaring it, manifesting their iman and their belief and their acceptance outwardly. Nevertheless, they were from the very beginning those pure souls. Now, if you look at the early days of Amirul Mu'mineen, that is also fascinating and unique. You would never find any of the companion coming closer to the status of Amirul Mu'mineen. Amirul Mu'mineen says that right from that very birth, you see how the Prophet was the role model for Hazrat Ali alayhi salam. And you have clearly seen that when Hazrat Ali turned 6, since that time they were always and always together, all the time. Hazrat Ali says that I was like the baby camel, and how the baby camel is with the mother. Wherever the mother goes, the baby camel goes. And that's how I followed the Prophet. Every morning, when we wake up, we ask each other, we wish each other, we hugged each other, we spoke, and we left the house together to carry out our daily routines that we had. I was always with the Prophet. I followed the Prophet in every instance, and Prophet taught me new things every time. A personality who has been with Rahmatul lil Alameen, a personality who has been with the Prophet of Islam right from that very moment where he opens his eyes till that very moment when the Prophet shuts his eyes. What type of personality that would be? Just imagine and ask yourself. Sincerely ask, by interceding the very Mawlud of Kaaba, that where lies the haqq, where lies the truth, who to really follow, who to really get and take our actions from, who should be our role models. So therefore Hazrat Ali alayhi salam says that we would indulge in prayers and worship along with the Prophet. I would accompany the Prophet up the mountain Hira, in which we meditate together. I would see the Jibreel descending from the heaven. I would hear the Quran being descent, the Wahi. I would smell the fragrance of Wahi. This is Ali ibn Abi Talib. I would hear the cries of Shaitan when the Wahi was revealed to the Prophet. Who have the honor to really address himself in such a fashion other than Amirul Mumineen? To really hear, see, and smell the fragrance of Wahi, it is not in a position of anyone who is on a similar level in terms of his or her Iman on the level of the Prophet himself. So therefore, it was Imam Ali alayhi salam, right from that very childhood, right from that very beginning, always with the Prophet. The time comes when the Prophet have to migrate at the age of 25, where Amirul Mumineen is at the age of 25, and he sleeps into the very bed of the Prophet, and perhaps I would say he would remember his childhood days where Prophet would make him sleep in his bed next to him, where Abu Talib places his own son in the bed of the Prophet in order to protect the life of the Prophet, because Abu Talib alayhi salam was the caretaker of the Prophet, as he had promised, as he had that Iman, as he had that belief in the Prophet and his message. Now, at the age of 25, we find the Prophet, the Amirul Mumineen, sleeping in his bed in order to protect where the revelation arrives. As we all know that the revelation or the Wahi sometimes is the actions of the Masumeen, the infallible ones, or the Wahi is clearly seen. There's a clarity of the Wahi seen within the actions of Ahl Bayt alayhimus salam. So here the verse arrives that one who have given their soul for the pleasure of Allah. Allah is the one who have bought those souls in order for the pleasure of God. Now here Hazrat Ali risks his life, sleeps in bed, and later on the time comes where Hazrat Ali alayhi salam joins the Prophet in Medina. Now here is very unique and special beginning of a support mechanism to the new state which has been governed by the Prophet. And we find the very first battle, which is the Battle of Badr, taking place. Now, this Battle of Badr, if you look at it, some of the reporters have recorded that Hazrat Ali alayhi salam, when he fought, he killed more than half of the enemies in the first battle itself, in comparison with the others who have killed. So the ta'dad, or the number of the enemies who were defeated, who were killed by Amirul Mu'mineen, surpasses the number of killed by the Muslims. As you know that this war was imposed upon Islam. Islam have fought the battles in self-defense. The battles were imposed and Prophet protected, and there was only one offensive, so to speak, preparation of a battle which never ended up in a battle, which was the Tabuk, the last expedition, or the last sort of recruitment of the troops towards the Rome. So now Amirul Mu'mineen, from that very beginning, we find that he was at the forefront. Now let's go back a little bit, and I just wanted to, which I really missed, and that is the invitation of the Makkans or the family members to Islam, because it's a very important point there, where Amirul Mu'mineen stood in support, and the special food which was made by Amirul Mu'mineen, which miraculously never ended. It was prepared by Hazrat Ali alayhi salam that night, and Prophet invited them all, and they came to the dinner. And here the Prophet have clearly mentioned that inna hadha akhi wa wasi wa khalifati fiikum fasma'u lahu wa atiyu, which means that certainly this is my brother, this is my successor, this is my caliph, and for you is to hear from him, and for you is to do ita'at, for you is to be obedient to him. So the beginning of Islam, qulu la ilaha illallah tuflihu, and then Muhammad Rasulullah, I am the Prophet sent to mankind from God. And then in that very first meeting, the Prophet says, inna hadha akhi, and wa wasi wa khalifati. So the first meeting itself, Prophet have clearly delivered. Just like how when the Imam Jummah, for example, he stands in the very first sermon of Jummah, where he has to mention, invite people to taqwa. He says, usikum ibadallah wa nafsi bi taqwallah. I invite my dear brothers and sisters and myself to be God conscious, to be God wary, to practice taqwa. If he just says that and he sits and he doesn't really go in detail in explaining, he has fulfilled his responsibility as such, because he has to, the khutbah Jummah must have the praises of God, the mentioning of the Prophet and the Day of Judgment, and then the first sermon he has to invite people for being God conscious, for being God wary, towards taqwa. So the same way the Prophet, in the very first meeting itself, where he says that there is no God but God, and I am the messenger, and who is there to support me? And Amir al-Mu'minin stands up, and then he says that yes indeed he is my wasi, yes indeed he is my khalifa, he is my brother after me, and you have to be obedient to him. So now going further, this was the part which we really missed. My apologies for that, because it was quite crucial and important to really mention this as we are looking at the life of Amir al-Mu'minin. So therefore we find this unique support of Ali ibn Abi Talib alayhi salam to the Prophet right from the very beginning. As we mentioned earlier, the incident of Hijrat, and then we'll connect this to the Battle of Badr, because we missed that point of the first invitation. That's why I went back a bit. Now, as we said, 25 years he was when he slept in the bed of the Prophet on that night. There are reports of two other migration of the Prophet in which Hazrat Ali alayhi salam supported the Prophet. The first migration is the migration of the Prophet to Taif, where some reports says 10 days, some reports says 40 days. However, Hazrat Ali was with the Prophet in Taif in his support. There the Prophet was not welcome. The Prophet was eventually hurt, and Hazrat Ali alayhi salam protected his life. Finally he leaves. There's another report of his hijrat which is right after the demise of Hazrat Abu Talib alayhi salam, and here he goes to the Qabile Bani Amir ibn Sa'sa, and there as well there was no avail and no support, and Hazrat Ali alayhi salam was with the Prophet in this migration as well. Then indeed the unique support of Hazrat Abu Talib and Hazrat Ali alayhi salam in the valley of Abi Talib, where there were extreme measures to persecute, to embargo those who were believers of Islam, as been mentioned by one of the companions of the Prophet, who is known as Sa'ad ibn Abi Waqqas. He says, Sa'ad Waqqas says that on a night I saw a skin of a camel and it was dry, and I took that and I kind of cooked it, and then I lived on it for 3 days. So this points out to the utmost difficulties the Muslims were in the valley of Abi Talib, Shoaib Abi Talib, where Hazrat Abu Talib was supporting, where Hazrat Ali alayhi salam was supporting. There were instances that there could be an attack to take the life of the Prophet from the mountain behind them, Abu Qabis, the mountain. They could throw stones, they could attack, they could ambush. And Ibn Hadith also says that Hazrat Abu Talib would be awake at nights, would wake up at nights to really protect the life of the Prophet, change his bed, put Hazrat Ali alayhi salam in his bed. Now finally we reach to the point in regards to the sleeping of Hazrat Ali in the bed of the Prophet, where we find that night Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala speaks to two angels, and he says that Mikael and Jibrail, I made you brothers, and I have made one of your lives more than the other one. So therefore, which one of you two would like to accept death first? Allah addressed to Mikael and Jibrail. They were quiet. Then Allah said, why don't you go down the earth and look how Ali is willing to sacrifice his life for his brother on the night of Hijrat. Here these two angels, they came and they protected Hazrat Ali alayhi salam One was at the head of Hazrat Ali alayhi salam, protecting at his head side corner, and then the other was at the feet. And they said that, "O Ali, bakhan bakhan, congratulations, congratulations, there isn't anyone like you, Ibn Abi Talib." These two angels protected Hazrat Ali alayhi salam. Now, Hazrat Ali also refers to this incident of migration, and he says, who was the one when the Prophet migrated to take food when he was in the cave, which was a cave in the south of Mecca, where Prophet have taken refuge after he leaves Mecca. As he meets Abu Bakr on his way there, he accompanied along with him to that cave, but the food, the water supply was taken by Hazrat Ali alayhi salam, and Prophet was in this cave for 3 days. And eventually, the last day, the Prophet said to prepare 2 camels to bring along his family, to announce in Medina, to protect his family, to return all the belongings that was entrusted to the Prophet. And Hazrat Ali alayhi salam took care of that. He eventually meets the Prophet as the Prophet leaves after 3 days after taking refuge in that cave, and nobody really knew. And as the mushrikeen and the idol worshippers, they have placed a reward of 100 camels whoever finds the Prophet, but nobody could really do so. And Hazrat Ali alayhi salam, the night that they ambush the bed of the Prophet, Hazrat Ali alayhi salam furiously came out and started sort of protecting himself, and they disperse like a cattle, left and right in the courtyard of the house of the Prophet was living. And they eventually said, "We have nothing to do with you, Ali ibn Abi Talib, but we want to know where is your friend, where is your cousin, and we are after him." So Hazrat Ali alayhi salam once again protected the Prophet at this very difficult task. So we clearly see the support. And why not be the case that Ibn Hadid mentions that if it wasn't for Ali and his father, the foundations, the pillars of Islam wouldn't have stood. It is because of their sacrifices, it is because of their contribution. Now, as Hazrat Ali alayhi salam, along with the family members, his mother and Fatima Zahra salamullah alayha, and Fatima, the daughter of Zubayr ibn Abdul Muttalib, they accompany to the place called Quba, where they meet the Prophet outside in the outskirts of Medina. And this was the 12th of Mahr Rabiul Awwal. Now they are entering into Medina. So therefore, we see this development that now they are entering into a new place once again, where it requires a great deal of support to the Prophet. And Prophet waited till Hazrat Ali alayhi salam joined the Prophet, and they entered Medina. And one of the initial initiation that takes place in Medina is the the brotherhood amongst the those who have migrated from Mecca and those who are in Medina. And Prophet have given the command that they should all regard each other as brothers, and they should recite the pronouncement of being brothers, so that they share the commodities, so that they share the difficulties and also the the property, so on and so forth, in order that there be sort of release and relief for those who have migrated to this new place. Now, they all recited the pronouncement of brotherhood, and there remains Hazrat Ali alayhi salam. And here Hazrat Ali alayhi salam, Prophet called him, Prophet recited the pronouncement of brotherhood with Hazrat Ali alayhi salam. Once again points out to the closeness of these two individuals, of these two personalities. So tonight is his birth, and we'll continue to look at the life of Hazrat Ali alayhi salam, and we would like to inshallah finish this in maybe 3 or 4 sessions, and we have reached to the point where the Prophet have migrated to Medina, and inshallah we hope that you stay with us to follow this life of Hazrat Ali alayhi salam in the spiritual perspectives. Now I just wanted to point out to some of the spiritual aspects, some of the metaphysical realities of this personality, Ali ibn Abi Talib alayhi salam. Now, and we will do that at the end of every program, because we will look at the historical development, and at the same time we'll look at his fazail in terms of his spirit. Now, Imam Ali alayhi salam, as we all know, is considered to be the pole for all of those who are on the path of spirituality, which includes the Sufis, which includes the other sort of sects within Islam, such as the Ismailis. They also consider, you know, the Imams of the Shias and Imam Ali alayhi salam as the spiritual father, as the Waliullah, as the pole. And also the Sufis do the same. They might be following other school of thought in terms of their legal practices, but when it comes to the spirituality, they all consider Imam Ali as the Imam, Imam Ali as the pole. So all chains really returns back to him. What is the sir? What is the secret? What is the reason behind that? Now, when we look at the reality, or when we look at the spiritual reality of Hazrat Ali alayhi salam, we find him to be that insan kamil. We find him to be that perfect man who is the true representative, the vicegerent, the Khalifa of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Now, khulf, as they say, it comes from the opposite. You know, when you are seeing yourself in the mirror, your image is in the khulf, meaning that it is right opposite to you. You know, so you, and the Khalifa really means that someone who is representing God. So the representative of God must be someone who is of that caliber, of that standard. So therefore, the person who becomes or who reaches to the station of perfect man, which is known as Insan Kamil, he would be considered as the Khalifatullah. And we find Amirul Mu'mineen Ali ibn Abi Talib to be the champion of this station of Insan Kamil. That is why when we look at the traditions of the Prophet, you would find the balance and the criteria of haqq and truth to be Ali ibn Abi Talib alayhi salam. That is why it says al-haqqu ma'al Ali wa aliul ma'al haqq, and haqq is with Ali and Ali is with haqq, and wherever Ali turns, the haqq will turn in that direction. Now, haqq is one of the awsaf, or one of the quality of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and this is manifested in that Khalifa. So now Ali ibn Abi Talib is representing that haqq, so he has to be the embodiment of that truth, of that reality, what he is representing, right from his very birth, that we find that he is the embodiment of that truth. Him coming into the house of Kaaba, him coming into the house of God, the Kaaba itself is a representation of that truthful birth of Hazrat Ali alayhi salam. So he is manifesting that sifat, that quality, that attribute of the Lord, which is haqq, which is truth. Then when it comes to the other qualities of God, we would find one after the other, these qualities are reflected in Ali ibn Abi Talib alayhi salam, which we will look in the course of time in our future programs. So I would conclude tonight once again with giving you glad tidings upon this auspicious night, upon this blessed night. And tonight is the night of acceptance of du'as as we are approaching the special nights of the month of Rajab, which is the 13th, 14th and 15th, which are known as the Ayyamul Bayt, the lighting, what you call the nights of lights, the nights of light. And these 3 nights are very special. I request my dear brothers and sisters to really pray for all Muslims, for Islam, for the reappearance of our 12th Imam, and may Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala include us as the faithful companions of the 12th Imam. Greetings and felicitations to the Imam of our time, to all of my dear brothers and sisters on this special night, and we take leave, and we will see you next week again to continue once again on spiritual perspectives on the life of Amirul Mu'mineen, the historical development and also the spiritual side of his reality, and we will go back once again to what we were initially discussing in our future programs, but after finishing this topic that we have started. Thank you very much, and we will see you again next week. Good night.